I'm sure that they expressed their dislike very calmly.
The movie is a preachy feminist screed about taking down the patriarchy.
Daddy is really a dummy.
It's instead about how men are evil and terrible.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
So the Barbie movie came out a while ago. I saw it, and I actually thought it was pretty good. I was actually surprised. I actually didn't expect the movie to be as good as it was, especially from like a filmmaking perspective. Don't get me wrong, the film is not perfect, and definitely has its problems.
I will beat both of you off at the same time.
Bread makes you fat?
But overall, I thought it was a pretty funny satire, especially coming out of Hollywood. But apparently there was a certain segment of the population that didn't like it as much, and I'm sure that they expressed their dislike very calmly. I think that might have been the most Black Lives Matter moment of Ben Shapiro's career. Like, I don't know, Ben, that looked kind of thuggish to me.
After the fully justified killing of thug 18-year-old black man Michael Brown.
The Barbie movie is a preachy feminist screed about taking down the patriarchy.
Feminists are taking over a doll they never really liked in the first place and using it as a Trojan horse to teach girls daddy is really a dummy or a domineering idiot.
The entire movie is instead about how men are evil and terrible.
Okay, so maybe they didn't just dislike it. Maybe they hated it.
And I had a great time watching it because they have no idea that they have made the best propaganda piece for reclaiming masculine vitalism against the matriarch.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Shit, man, I don't know. Maybe they did like it. I don't know. At this point, I'm just honestly confused. Is the Barbie movie man-hating trash, or is it based? The conservatives that think that it's man-hating makes sense to me, since it is the Barbie movie after all. Of course it was going to be a feminist film. But the conservatives that think that the movie was anti-woke accidentally interest me more. So let's hear from them.
Barbie is accidentally right-wing. In trying to push a feminist agenda, they ended up complimenting patriarchy, masculinity, and Catholicism.
Oh yeah, this'll do.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
The best insult of men that they had in the movie was when perverts were harassing Barbie, which literally symbolizes a godless society.
How exactly does that symbolize a godless society? Like, if everybody was Catholic, then nobody would be perverted? I don't know, man. I think the priests at the Catholic Church themselves would disagree with you on that. I feel like you're just kind of projecting.
Right from the start, they show little girls playing with baby dolls, symbolizing the natural, God-given call of motherhood to the female sex. However, Barbie and immodestly dressed women that might as well represent vanity.
Okay, so like, I didn't notice this until I was just editing this, but like, why is she censored? Like, it wasn't like that in the movie. Like, he put that in there. Like, is a woman wearing a one-piece bikini too much for you?
Gets introduced to the little girls, causing them to literally start smashing the baby dolls. Reminds you of our pro-abortion culture. Now,
what? First of all, the scene is a reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Second of all, I think the scene is more trying to show that women can be more than just caretakers, and he calls it the natural God-given call of motherhood. I hate to tell you, dude, but making an appeal to nature is not a good argument. In nature, it is natural for animals to eat and kill other animals. So I don't think that using nature as a moral compass is a good idea. Lastly, the fact that you think these girls smashing the dolls somehow symbolizes pro-abortion really shows how much your brain has rotted from culture war bullshit. Like, can you people please stop thinking about the culture war for 1 second?
Now, when the males take over Barbie Land, the women confess how happy they are to not have to think now that the men are in control. With this, the movie tries to make male leadership look like a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a bad thing because they're all brainwashed. You do realize that you're implying that it's a good thing for women not to think? Listen, I'm not trying to be mean, but you look like you get no bitches.
I'm trying to be nice. Don't call him a fat pig.
And it's probably because you think like this.
Also, the movie does a great job criticizing capitalism, exposing how too much of an unregulated free market can lead to degenerate consequences in society.
Okay, I guess I kind of agree with that.
This is why the Catholic Church not only condemns socialism, but also liberal capitalism.
Wait, Bro, what? I don't even know where to go from here. Like, okay, I think most of us can agree that socialism is like a left-leaning concept, but liberals are also responsible for capitalism as well. And is there somehow a third option that isn't socialism or capitalism? Like, do you want us to go back to feudalism? Okay, so any Christians or Catholics or whatever watching this video, can you guys confirm this with me? Like, when I went to church school, I was taught an important value that Jesus preached, that you should take from the rich and give to the poor. Like, honestly, looking back on Jesus and from what I was taught, I feel like he was probably the first communist.
At the end of the movie, Barbie decides to become a human as she recognizes the beauty of suffering that is included in earthly life. Earlier in the movie, she experiences suffering for the first time, but states how it wasn't bad, which affirms the church's teaching on how suffering is not inherently bad.
Honestly, I just don't know what to say. Like, once again, I think he's throwing his own worldview into the movie. Like, I guess you could make the argument that the movie does try to say that suffering is a part of life, but I definitely don't think they made it in any sort of religious sense. Like, this is also a very lighthearted movie, so, like, how much suffering is Barbie really going through in the movie? Probably not much in comparison.
Now, there's still a whole lot I didn't cover, like how the movie tries to gaslight sex stereotypes but just ends up proving them, showing the differences of men and women, or how the movie was under a godless lens that men and women are always competing, either one is at the top or the other is at the top, rather than both being complementary.
But the movie does say that they should be complementary. At the end of the movie, spoilers by the way, at the end of the movie, Barbie Land does decide to give more power to the Kens. And they imply that over time they will work themselves up to be equals. Granted, it was presented more as a joke, because let's be honest, this movie is meant to be a comedic satire, and way too many people are taking this movie way too seriously.
Only watch the movie for the scene where Ken walks into a Sigma edit and gets radicalized into male excellence. After that, leave the theater.
Just like how I'm gonna leave this video. Man, I'm pretty sure that was full of dog whistles. I mean, this wasn't the only video that talked about how Ken is basically a Sigma or alpha male or whatever. And once again, the right is talking about how he's similar to Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, saying that he was the actual hero.
Because John Doyle put out a tweet saying that he was going to do a Ken video because he already did neo-Gastonism after Beauty and the Beast. We're saying that Beauty and the Beast, Gaston is actually the hero, of course.
Right, yeah, of course.
Which I also made a video about, so you should probably check that out. Listen, I'm sorry, but if you actually think that Ken before the ending of the movie was something that you should be replicating, that is actually really pathetic. Ken was portraying a deeply insecure man that wanted Barbie's approval throughout the entire film. He created this huge macho man persona and patriarchal society so he could win over Barbie. And at the end of the movie, Ken learns that he actually doesn't need Barbie, that he is enough, which I actually thought was pretty fucking funny at the time, and which is also a very feminist message. I know this sounds very preachy, but it's true. Society has this expectation that men have to have a huge body count in order to feel worthy as a man, or that if you don't have a girlfriend, that is something to be ashamed of. And that's bullshit. Listen, I think the movie actually does a particularly good job of shining a light on that particular men's issue. That's right, despite what conservatives may think, feminism does also address men's issues as well. So what a lot of conservatives get wrong about Ken is that he's not a symbol of like red pill alpha males or whatever the fuck. He's more of an icon for male feminism. Hey, you could love that, you could hate that, but that is reality. All right, make sure to that like button, and remember, anything that conservatives hate is inherently woke.
Let's say, hypothetically, I'm a Barbie girl.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic